Hello, my darlings. It is Aisling Mooney, your host of the Power Podcast. I'm delighted that you're here. You're so very welcome. Today, we're going to dive into decisions, the decisions that every spiritual business owner needs to make in their business. Now, I know there are a million decisions that we need to make every other day, to keep our business running, clients, software, tech, taxes, everything that we need to deal with. But I honed this down to maybe three top decisions that I get questions about over and over and over again from clients, from our community. So we're going to talk about them. Those three decisions are: when is it time to quit your job and go all in your business? That's a big one I get asked. When is it time to invest in coaching and training and software? So that's a big one. I have a lot to say about that. A lot of the mistakes I made, a lot of the things I wish I did differently, and what I would recommend. And when is the time to raise your prices? And I also have here and create DIY courses. So we might get a time to look at that or touch on it briefly, or I might dedicate one whole podcast just to multiple income streams because it's really important. And I'm also going to dive into this episode around decisions and talk about how a technique that I use to help me make decisions, and also I use when I'm enrolling clients in some of my higher end programs. I'll use this technique and ask them to sort of self-select if they want to join or not. So it's a very easy thing that you can do, and it's your breath, and it's just listening to your body and your intuition and making your decisions from there, as opposed to FOMO and jumping into things and fear of missing out and whatever else. So my name is Aisling Mooney. You want to share this podcast, you want to go and subscribe and make sure that you never ever miss an episode. We drop one every Tuesday and Thursday. Go to aislingmooney.com/podcast and get your name on the list. And of course, everything that I discuss will be down in the show notes, any links or descriptions. So let us dive in, my darlings. And any questions that you have, make sure that you post them around wherever you're watching this video, and I'm happy to answer them afterwards. So when is it time to quit your job and go all in your business? So I have a lot to say about this. And, when let me, this is the thing that I usually say to clients. When your business is paying for itself, there's this rhetoric out there, which is take the leap and the net will appear. And that's fantastic. And there's been plenty of times in my life where I've taken leaps and the net has appeared, and, I've got scrappy, hustled when I needed to hustle, do whatever I needed to do to make things work, build the ship while I was flying it, and, all of those things. And that does work, especially if you have a personality like mine, which is, I love ideas. I like taking fast action. I like doing deep dives. So it can work, but it can also be exhausting. And this is what I found over the years, that we need to create some stability, some stable foundation in our businesses so that we can take as many leaps as we want, but our mortgage being paid doesn't depend on it. The next client's payment coming in doesn't depend on our success. So I'm all about now teaching my clients to take measured risk, follow your intuition, but make sure that you have a secure, stable foundation, and in particular of income, set up in your business, coming in regularly before you take any big leaps. So when it comes to this particular decision about moving from your job into your business, there's a couple of things I want to talk about that. One is jobs are underrated. Really are. A job can give you a social aspect where you're actually getting dressed up, getting out of the house, out into the world, you're meeting people, you're interacting, you're contributing, you're doing something worthwhile and useful. So it can contribute immensely to your mental health. So if you're enjoying the job that you're in, I strongly recommend that you see if you can possibly cut down the hours that you're in that job so that you can spend some more time in your business, building that, growing that over time. And you're also still getting that team vibe, community. You're out there, you're working, you're contributing. If you like your job. If you don't like your job, that's a whole other story. Then we probably need to create some sort of an exit plan where you're like, okay, I'm out of this job in 6 months or 12 months. How much money do I need to bring in to leave this job? But if you love your job, I would really strongly say, see if you can cut down to maybe 2 days a week so that you have that consistent income coming in, and you also have that, connection with the outside world. Because going online or going into your business just full time, it can be a lonely place if you don't have a built-in community and coaching, and training support and whatever. So for me, my story was that I was working part-time 2 days a week while I was building my business. And I did that for 2 years. I've had lots of different jobs, but this is just one particular period I'm talking about where I was 2 years in this part-time job. My kids were young, and I was building my business, building back up my business. So my goal was 30,000 euros. If I could bring in 30,000 euros, that's what I needed as my basic salary for the year to pay the bills, pay for the piano lessons for my kids, pay for whatever it was that we needed, the petrol, the car, the mortgage, whatever. So that was my baseline. So you do need to figure out your baseline. And we do this in Power. We go through track our numbers every month, every quarter, every year, and set your money goals and figure out what is your baseline. There's an exercise that we use called the basic, the magic, and the jackpot number for every single month. And my basic was 30,000. If I could bring that into my business, then I knew I could leave this job, which I didn't love. I appreciated it, and I enjoyed it while I was there, but I didn't mind leaving it. So I had 3 10K launches. So I had a launch, I can't remember the product that I sold, and 10,000 euros came in. I was like, okay, let's replicate this and see, does it work again? So another few months later, replicated it, another 10,000 euros came in. Another few months, replicated it, 10,000 euros came in. And that was my jackpot moment. That was like, okay, 30,000 euros has come in my business. I think it was in the space of, let's say, 6 months or 7 months, something like that. So I knew that my business could sustain, and I tested this launch process so that I understood it. And I had also built up my community, and I'd done all of the things that I needed to do, and it worked, and there was 30,000 euro had come in consistently. So that was my benchmark. Okay, that money has come in, and now I can leave the job if I want to. And I handed in my notice, and I left and went full time into the business. So, Elizabeth Gilbert says, don't let your creativity pay the bills initially. And I'm a great believer in that. Make sure that you have some stable income. So if you really need to leave your job, you might need to save up your basic amount. There's a story, Lisa Nichols, that she made a plan for her business, for following her passion, following her dream, and saved every cent, sent it in the olden days, sent it by check to the bank and said, deposit that into my account, please. And after a couple of years, went to the bank and had a look at the balance that was in there and realized that was enough to support her for 2 full years of life. And in that 2 years, she was able to build her business. So you might decide that you have to save the money. You might decide that you've proved that you can generate the money that you need, or you might decide to go part-time and build your business part-time. All of these options are great. They're all very clever as far as I'm concerned. Taking the leap and just guessing that you're going to figure out this massive learning curve of figuring out how to run a business, the tech, the taxes, the self-accountability, when you're really have to figure out that you're on your own and you have to be the boss and the timekeeper and the inspirer and the getter doner and answer all the calls and do the customer service and do the videos and do the enrollment and do the delivery and manage the admin, when you realize you have to do fucking all of that, it can be a massive wake-up call, and you suddenly realize, oh my God, I thought I was going to jump off this ledge, leap into my business, and it was going to start making money from day one. That hasn't been my experience. It hasn't been the experience of, I mean, I'm in this game 14 years with this online business, and that is across the board. There's probably 2% of people that I've met in all of those 14 years that have cracked the code immediately and just went for it. But a lot of them would have had public speaking. I'm thinking of one particular person. She worked with Tony Robbins. She had massive public speaking skills. She had been a coach. So it was, and she was magnetic, you know, very, very good at public speaking. And so and she was selling high ticket packages. So it was very easy for her to go from 0 to 100 grand in 4 months because of these factors. But if most business owners are starting off with low ticket offers, they haven't built up the confidence in themselves, they haven't built up the experience to know that their services really work on a fundamental level. So they might not have the confidence to go and immediately jump into high ticket offers. For me, certainly I had to build up to that. So for those reasons, try not to let your creativity pay the bills initially. Give yourself freedom to build and grow and create this beautiful business without putting the pressure on it to pay the bills initially. I recommend to people you want to create this new package or program, go and get 30 people in it. Get 30 people to pay you anything, something, and build the program and, get your testimonials, tweak it because of the feedback that you're getting from this group, excuse me, and then relaunch it again, the better version, higher price, with the testimonials, better at the sales page, the program is done, you just have to redeliver it. So that alone could take 3 to 6 months, depending on how long your first program is. So there's a lot to be said for just not leaping without, leap, but making sure that there is somebody holding the net. There is a net there. I certainly wouldn't leap off a cliff without knowing that there was a net there, that there was some way that it was going to land. That would just be a bit silly. So there is that. And I often say, I speak to my angels every day. I'm very intuitive, and I have taken massive leaps, following guidance from my angels and my guides. And sometimes it works the way I think it's going to, and sometimes it doesn't. And those times that it didn't, I wish I had have just paused a little bit and make sure that I had a little foundation there of at least some money, so that if it fell on flat on its face, I would be still protected and not have to go into anxiety or pressure or stress of where is the next 100 grand coming, or €1,000 coming from to pay the bills or whatever. So I hope that answers your questions. Any questions about that? Any thoughts about that? Post in the comments. And just another thing that I often say to clients: your angels and your guides, they don't have bodies. They don't have physical needs. They don't have to feed themselves or move their bodies, or they can give us all of the advice and guidance, but it's us that ultimately have to make the decision, because it's us that are, you and me, that are literally living on this physical planet in this physical body at this time. And for me, I'm better when I know that my family's taken care of, my needs are taken care of, and that I can literally go and do and create and whatever I want, but it's not going to affect my bottom line. And it can work or not work, it doesn't matter. I can afford to follow my passion and throw myself into something without worrying about it affecting my bottom line, because I've built up this business over time. I know I have clients, I know I have recurring income, I know I have subscriptions, I know I have passive income products set up. So and that's over the long term. I say to my clients, in particular those joining the power group, give it a year. Give yourself a year. Don't expect to come in and get this in a couple of months. Don't expect to come in and you've got this in 2 months and then leave. It's not going to happen. You're gonna, give yourself at least 4 months just to get the foundations in place. And I would recommend a full solid year. And then I've had coaching and training throughout my whole life. So this is the next decision. So when is it time to invest in coaching and training and software? So there's a double edge in this, because it's always good to have a coach and training and community. Now, having one to match the level that you're at in your business and your budget that's available. So it's the same thing again. This is one of the mistakes I made when I started to make a little bit of money. I jumped into spending all of that on coaching and training, and I still struggled to pay my bills, pay the taxes, pay for all the tech that I needed in my business. And some of the essential tech was delayed because I had to pay for coaching. And then because I was still struggling and like a headless chicken running around trying to keep this business running, I didn't have the capacity to really fully utilize that coaching, because it was beyond where I was. I was still firefighting and trying to mouse the feed and pay for shelter and all of that, that I couldn't fully show up confident, calm, relaxed, and ready to receive on those coaching calls or with my coach. Now, that wasn't always the case. Some one-to-one coaching programs that I got were just amazing. The connection, the clarity, and the support to up level that I got. But there were a couple of occasions in the very, very early days where I invested thousands and thousands of euros when I really didn't have it. When I really should have taken that money, invested it according to where I was, and according to the money that was coming into the business, and according to what I had available. So I signed up for example, an American coach. I wasn't available for any of the calls. The calls were always at 4 o'clock in the day. That was the busiest time for me as a young mum with 2 kids, school collections, feeding the kids, homework. That time between 3 and 6 and making the dinner was just the busiest time in my whole day. So for everyone else in the States, it was 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock in the morning would have been perfect for me. My kids left for school and I had the morning to myself, and I could have. So one of the decisions that came from that was, I'm not going to invest in anyone. Now my schedule has changed a little bit. So, you do have to take my advice depending on the season of life that you're in. My kids are older now, and I don't have to run around after them as much as I did when I signed up for that program. So I might consider a program now around that where the calls are at 4 o'clock. But definitely at that time, it didn't work because I wasn't able to avail of the coaching because I couldn't attend any of the calls, and then I just never got around to listen to the replay. So, and just continued firefighting, was paying all this money for a big, huge coach program, and then just not getting the results from it because I just physically hadn't got the capacity to implement, or ask questions even, or whatever, So, and then there comes with that, I'm not doing it right. Why is it working for everybody else and it's not working for me? And not understanding that it's just the list of circumstances that I'm finding myself in, and that I took a leap without fully realizing the consequences of that. So that would be to invest in a coaching or training or community program at the level that you're at in your business. So a good rule of thumb is to have a learning budget of about 20%. This is 20% of your income after tax, after tech, after salaries, after everything has been paid. I'm going to do a whole other thing on just the breakdown of where your money should go. But let's say after all of that is gone, whatever you have left in the budget, in your business, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you really need to listen, join our community and get some help and support with that. But oh my God, I've lost my train of thought. So investing in coaching and training and software is really relative to where you are in your business and what you can afford. And 20% is a good rule of thumb to, after everything else is paid for, if there's 20% of whatever is left, that's your training budget. So let's just, I'm making this up, but let's just say €1,000 came into your account this month for business services. 20%, 200 of that is probably more or less 100 to 200 is what you have available for training. So one training could be your coach, it could be a training program, it could be a piece of software, or it could be, I don't know, a DIY course, but you've about 200 a month for training. So that might be an event, so you can start to save that. I know in the beginning that's hard, but you can start to save that, or you can, look at the money that's coming in consistently, maybe over 3 or 4 months, and say to yourself, okay, consistently I've had 200 quid there that I can invest in training. So, and you can, build that up, or you can decide to invest in training up to that. And the other thing is, so that would be the safe way to invest in coaching. And I know that I've shared that sometimes for me in my journey, I overpaid for a level that I wasn't ready for. But one little story I want to tell you is I went to, a coach that I was working with at the time sent me an email and said, here's a free ticket to an event that I'm speaking at. And it was within 3 days or 4 days, and it was in England. I was in Ireland living at the time in Dublin, and this was in Birmingham, and it was called Ignite, and it was for women, and it was business. And this coach and another coach that I really wanted to work with at the time, they were both speaking at this event. And I had no money. I had young kids, I had a lot of responsibilities, and I literally, on the spur of the moment, booked the flight, booked a hotel. Everything at that time was on the credit card, because I just didn't have it. And I maybe had a tiny bit of money for spending a taxi to get me there and whatever. And I literally, it was all at the spur of the moment. My husband at the time wasn't happy, but there was something in that decision. I mean, the whole weekend probably cost me maybe £500 at that time, which might not sound like a lot of money, but to me that was a fortune, because I did not have it, and it was all on the credit card, and I had to pay that back. And when I got there, I signed up to a program with my second coach. And it was a year-long program, and that cost €1,000, and I paid that in a couple of installments, but again on the credit card. So, and I don't regret that decision to go to that event, or that decision to invest in that program, because it was a line in the sand for me as a business owner, saying I'm fucking going to make this work, even though I don't know how. I know I need support. I know I need coaching. I know I need training. And I took the leap. But I still look back. I think that was relative to where I was at that time. It was a lot of money, but it wasn't 10 grand. It was later on, the year later, the following year, that I invested really, really big. And I should have allowed myself a couple of years to build up my business. So they're my thoughts on that. I hope that's useful. I hope it makes some sense to you. And the other question is, when is it time to raise my prices? So just before I jump into that, I just want to say, you have any questions, you have any thoughts on this, comment wherever you're watching this video, share in the comments below, and share this with anyone that needs to hear this information. Any other spiritual business owner that you know out there in the world that is struggling, share the podcast with them. ashleymooney.com/podcast. Bring them here. Let them get all of this goodness for free, all of this information. Let's join the conversation wherever you're watching this. And always happy to share. And anything that you want me to cover in particular, any other questions that are coming up, you're like, oh my God, can you do a video on this? Can you do a podcast episode on that? Just post it in the comments and let me know. And as soon as I have time again to do more episodes, that's my list. It's my go-to list. So when is it time to raise your prices? So this is an interesting question. So what I find is that light workers, I'll give you an example. Somebody goes and has some Reiki sessions, and they experience massive healing and transformation in their lives. And they decide, oh my God, I'm going to teach this. I'm going to learn this. So they go and they do their 1, 2, 3 levels. They maybe go to master level. and they invest maybe a year, maybe two, depending on how fast they want to do it. And they become this Reiki teacher master. And they start to teach students. And they decide, I'm going to create a business around this. I'm going to do some Reiki sessions. I'm going to do Reiki retreats. I'm going to do Reiki attunements. And they decide to set up a business. They might decide to be part-time for a while in their job, or they might decide to leave completely, which, as I said, if you go back to the beginning, you realize I don't recommend that. But for whatever reason, they decide to jump into their business. And most people starting off in business have no idea about pricing. They've never sold anything, so they've no sales experience. It's very icky, very uncomfortable to ask for money. And if they're a healer, every healer that's here on this lifetime has had lifetimes upon lifetimes of being a healer. Even if you're new to the game in your 30s, 40s, whatever, it's a skill that's, because most people, when they experience healing for the first time and they decide to go on this learning curve of learning to be a healer, it's a remembering. The skills are already there. We've already been lifetimes of a healer. And it can bring up all of our trauma of past lives, of asking for money, for healing gifts, of being visible as healers, maybe being tortured, killed, ridiculed for sharing our healing gifts with the world. And that can bring up all sorts of stuff. And more than likely, it shows up when it comes to pricing. It's connected with visibility and fear of being visible. And so generally, people starting out will price themselves low. And when I say low, it's anything under 50 quid is low. And it can come from that lack of experience with selling, lack of understanding exactly how much they should be charging. And when I talk about this, this is the numbers. When you go in, when you become a member of Power, like if you want to dive deep onto any of these, learn what I'm speaking about today, join the Power community, ashlingmooney.com/power. Join our community. You get all of this information. You get access to me. You get access to our curriculum. It helps you on every single level in starting your business, growing your business, scaling it, and everything else. But when you're starting off and your prices are pretty low, it's because you don't understand all of the expenses that come with being a business owner. You're coming from a job, you do the hours, you get a paycheck, all of the tax has been taken out of it. So the employer has taken out everything, all the lighting, all the electricity, all the Wi-Fi, all the bills, all the accountant fees, everything that it takes to run the business is already out of the money that comes into the business. And then they give a salary, and all the tax and all has been taken out, and the health insurance and the retirement fund, the pension, and everything has gone. And the money that you're left with in your account is generally yours to, spend on your bills and your life, your family and whatever. But when we become a business owner, we suddenly have all of this other stuff to pay for. We have to figure out we're paying the Wi-Fi. So understanding that every €100 or pounds or dollars that comes into your business is not yours. It's not the same as a job where $100 comes in and you get that to spend. No, you have to tech, team, and taxes all have to be paid. The team might be just you in the beginning. You have to get your salary out of that. You have to get something for all the hours that you're working. And there's a whole system around that, to make sure that you're getting paid. But your tech, the basic tech, your email provider, your website, everything. We use Kajabi. I'll pop a link for you down below. That's our all-in-one system. We use it for website, email provider, and all of our courses. I highly recommend it, especially for anyone starting out. It's literally everything in a box. But, realizing that you have to pay for all of the tech, the software to get your business up online. You have to pay for the team, which can be you or your assistant, or as your team grows and whatever. And the taxes. You need to be taking money out for taxes. So if those three big chunky things, and then as we said earlier, training, you want to have your training budget in there. it's that could be another T. So within that, there's, so of that €100, maybe there's only 20 quid that's going to be yours. So understanding that means that you can charge 50, because if you charge 50, you're literally 10 quid is all you're going to get out of that by the time you cover all of the other expenses. And you might say, well, I don't have all those expenses starting out, but you're going to have them at some stage. So if you're not saving that 10 or 20 quid towards when you need a coach, towards when you need to buy the software, towards when your taxes that you're going to have to pay eventually when you set up a business. So it's like stepping into business is about taking on a CEO mindset of understanding you're now the worker bee, the manager, the accountant, the bookkeeper, the customer service, the one that does all the when we start having our businesses, we do all of it. Then as you begin to grow and you begin to really get clear on the money that's coming in, you get clear on your pricing, then we can outsource. Then we can start to get back our time and just begin to focus on our zone of genius when everything else is taken care of. But initially, so initially we're all of it, and that is the key to helping you understand when is it time to raise your prices. It's okay to start off low, but to understand that you're starting off low, that to make your business sustainable, you need to raise your prices. So I'm a great believer in having beta testing, which is you tell everybody this is it. So you say you have a new course or program or a new package. Let's take a one-to-one package because that's the most accessible with no software or anything included. So one-to-one package, you decide to do Reiki transformational healing of childhood trauma for women. Okay, that's for women who are stressed out and whatever. So you decide to do this, sell this healing package. Let's say it's a one-off session, which I wouldn't recommend, but a one-off session of €97, or a 3 sessions for, now this is very low price, but let's say 3 sessions for $247. So they get a discount if they sign up to a package. But you have a limited time offer, a beta testing offer. You are literally, honestly saying to your people, I've created this new thing. I want to test it out. I am offering a beta testing price, maybe 30% off. So instead of 97, it could be 77 or 67 or 57 or whatever. And for the first 10 people that sign up. And all I want in return is a really brilliant testimonial if it has served you and transformed you in the way that I think it's going to. And that's it. And you will get 10 people signed up. You have to obviously have your marketing in place. You have to figure out what it is that you are doing consistently, which is a whole other thing that we cover in Power. Everybody, as a business owner, you need to be out there reaching your community all the time, at least weekly, consistently. But when you have figured out a deal for your people, a beta testing deal, you go out there, you do it with the first 10 clients, you get 10 amazing testimonials. You also get proof that it works. You get that experience, you get confidence then because you start to see clients get transformation. And then you can go and offer another 10. And then you can go and offer another 10. And it's 30 paid experiences of this package will give you a lump sum to help you to build out this thing, to create it. It will also give you amazing testimonials that are worth their weight in gold in terms of future marketing. And you'll also get the confidence and experience. And then you can say to people, it's going to go up to full price once I've done these 10, 20 or 30 sessions or whatever. And then you're also sending out into the community the message that this is the true value of the work. So everybody loves a deal. But if we just hear, okay, this is 47 and nothing else, but if you hear that this is actually 97, but they're getting it for 47, it creates that sense of value for the product or service that they're buying. So, my darlings, I hope that is useful. I hope it makes some sense and it sort of gives you some ideas around decisions. When are the best time to make these decisions? And I also just a final thing about FOMO. So I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Just want to remind any of you, if you haven't subscribed yet, just go to my website and click subscribe. If you want to go deep, and you're ready to take your business to the next level, you want to work with me as your coach, you want to work in an incredible community, you want to take our curriculum, which is step-by-step getting your business started, join us in the Power Mastermind, ashlingmooney.com/power. And that's it, my darlings. I will see you on the other side of that. We would be absolutely thrilled to have you as part of our community. So a final little thing about decision making. There's this thing called 0 to 10. I don't even know what the name of it is, but a friend of mine shared this with me. And I usually use this if I'm sharing high ticket offers. So anything over €1,000 with a client. Currently, it's €3,000 for a 6-call package. That's over 12 to 15 weeks, 12 to 16 weeks. So let's say somebody was signing up, was inquiring about that. We'd have a call, talk about what they need, I'd get a good sense of their business. And then I would let them know what programs, what we have available. And then ask them, okay, which one do you think is resonating? And if they have any questions at that, usually people, when they come on a call with me, they're almost ready. They're coming on a call because they want to work with me. So we're just going to figure out what that would look like. But if there are questions, and if there are, look, I'm not sure, I don't know if I have time, if I have the money, if I have the energy, all the responsibilities I have, I just don't know if it's the right time for me or money or whatever. So if we get to that stage, I will say to them, look, okay, between 0 and 10, when you think about this package, program, VIP session, whatever it is that you're selling, sharing. So when you think about this thing, is it like on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being, I'm not interested in this at all. It's not part of my plan. It's not where I want to be. I don't want it. And 10 being, oh my God, yes, I know this is my next step. I know this is where I want to be. I know this has everything that I need, that I've been looking for. It's an absolute 100% yes. So 0 to 10. And I ask them, choose on that scale, where are you, honestly? And it might be more of an intuitive thing. It might be, look, forget the logic and just drop into your heart and take a few breaths and just, where am I on that scale? Soul, on a soul level. And if they're 5 or below, there's a very good chance at that stage that I would say, look, I don't think it's the time for you right now, for whatever the reason, money, responsibilities, time, energy, whatever the reason. I don't think it's a good next step for you. Maybe come back. Let's have another call in 6 months and see how you are. So that would be my feeling if it's below 5, 0 to 5. If it's 8, 9, 10, I'm like, this is it. So is there any questions that you have, anything that you need? But for me and you, it's a yes. So that would be my thinking. 8, 9, 10, then it's a yes. And they're probably, if they're saying 8, 9, 10, they're more or less saying, I want to sign up now. So it's pretty much a no-brainer. But if they're 6 or 7, it could be that they just have some questions and they just need to talk out and have a little bit of coaching around. And it might be that we talk it out and we realize it's not for them right now. Or it could be that they're just worried about where they're going to get the money or where they're going to get the time because they're looking after young kids or older parents, or they already have a job. They're studying a degree, they're building a business, as I was in the early days. And they just have a lot going on and they just don't know if they can take this on. So in that 6 or 7, you're really giving them space to talk it out and see if there is a way that we can make it work. Maybe on my end, I can say, okay, well, I can extend your payment plan a little bit, or I can give you a pay in full bonus, or I can share some of my experiences of how I got the money when I needed it by selling stuff, by putting an offer on. Maybe there's an offer that we can talk out that I could help them to create really quickly with a script. Take the script, send it to your email list if they have an email list, and get the money for your first deposit to sign up to the program. And then you're in the coaching or whatever. So, so that 6 or 7 gives us an opportunity to dive in a little bit and see if it's for them or not. And I'm okay with all of this. And I love this tool because it helps the person to self-select and to ask questions and to make the decision themselves if it's right for them or not. And so I use that when I'm sharing my bigger programs, high ticket programs. But you can use this for everything. You can use this when you have a program that you're really invested in, because remember, there's so much invested in advertising. There's sales pages designed to increase our FOMO, scarcity, sense of belonging. There are literally all of this is embedded into sales pages, and it can leave us at this point of indecision where we're not making clear decisions really for our highest good. And lastly, call in your angels. Ask your angels to support you. Ask your angels to give you a sign. I cannot count the number of times that someone has been on the fence maybe about signing up to a program, or has just signed up to a program and is literally like texting me and going, oh my God, a feather just literally landed on my lap as I'm sitting here, and there's no windows open, there's nowhere it could have come from. Or I opened the door and there was a double rainbow outside. Or I picked up the phone, called a friend, and they were able to answer a question. Or some money came out of the blue. I had one client that signed up to a program that, it was a struggle for her at the time. And literally the first week of signing up to that program, she just had money coming from everywhere in gifts. A client came up to her in a meeting and said, with an envelope, and said, don't open that till I gone. I just want to say thank you for all the work that you've done for me and my family. She opened it. There was a few £100 in it. She won a competition to get some renovation in the house for free. Like, she got free tickets for things. So abundance started to flow into her life when she took that step. So you can ask your angels for guidance, for confirmation that you're on the right track, that you're making the right decision. And yeah, so I hope that helps you on some level. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please share with anyone that you think needs it today. And remember to come back next time. So make sure you're subscribed so you'll never, ever miss a podcast. All of my love. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.